knife industry for 24 years.
Oh my gosh.
That means you started when you were at the tender age of, I don't know, 10, and your parents were very worried about you and the knife.
16, prepping and chopping.
Turned out to be a career. Hey, this is amazing. We're talking about Henckels. This is a German company.
That's right.
Knives made with German steel. And we love that these are the Zwilling brand. Zwilling means twins, doesn't it?
That's right. And, you know, when you get these knives, they are German-made Henckels. They are considered to be some of the best knives in the world. But you know that these are the top of the line by that mark right there. Those two guys, Zwilling means twins. So this is the Zwilling 4-star line. Let me do a quick run through what you're going to get, what each knife does.
Okay.
Starting off, here's of course, that 8-inch chef's knife. That's what you use for chopping, mincing, and slicing. That's number one. That knife is beautiful. We'll get back to that. Number two is a serrated 8-inch bread knife. Now, use that not just for bread, cake, also really good for tomatoes.
Yes.
Also, you want a serrated knife for that. Now, you're going to get a wonderful, very popular knife. Now, this is the prep knife. It's right in between a chef's knife and a paring knife, so you can also use this for chopping. Really good, easy to use. If you want a smaller knife, that's going to use it like that. Then this is the 5.5-inch serrated fruit knife. I love this for lemons and oranges and grapefruits. It's a serrated knife. It just goes right through there. Then you're going to get a very handy 4-inch paring knife.
These are beautiful knives.
Great. You're going to love, every kitchen needs a good paring knife. So this one's easy to use. See there, I'm just going to do an avocado. And then, of course, when you do the stem, just like so, pop that, twist it, and pops that stem right out.
Gets that bit right out of there.
Yep. And then you're going to get a very handy set of kitchen shears, a sharpening steel, and the wood block to put all the knives in.
We'll catch up with you here. Look at that wood block. This is beautiful. Now you've got a branded wood block that all of your knives will fit inside. Do want to make a quick mention of that 5.5-inch knife. At retail, just this knife, folks, is $89 at retail. Just this one knife you'd pay $89 for. We're giving you this and all the other knives and the block and the steel and the shears for $169.98. We do not have a lot of these to go around. It's important to know if you're wanting beautiful German-made knives, German steel.
Right.
This is a company that's been in business for decades.
More
than decades.
Centuries. They started making Zwilling knives in 1731. They're a legacy of knives. These are knives that you pass down to your children and your grandchildren. These are the very sought after. And here's the factory in Germany. And again, dating back, that's 285 years ago, they started making them. Now here they are in the factory. They use a process called the Fedor process. What they do is they cool the steel down to 90 degrees below zero. That hardens the steel, aligns the molecules in it, so it makes for a perfect cutting blade.
Wow.
And every knife, by the way, is going to be hand sharpened. Here you can see the craftsmen in Germany. Every single knife is hand sharpened and hand polished. This way you know, that's why they're considered amongst the best knives in the world. They really are beautiful knives, and you really don't know until you feel them and touch them and cut with them. And one thing I like to show is the difference between a top of the line knife and a cheap knife is that the knife does the work. Now I'm just going to hold this knife, put it on my finger here like so, and literally just drag it straight across. And it is going to cut right through that.
Now bear in mind, as we pull back here, you can see Jeremy's holding that knife with one finger. Now obviously he's got 24 years experience. Don't do this at home.
Yeah, this is just to show you.
You've got experience.
It's difficult when you're sitting at home to really get the feel of this knife. Now it's also perfectly balanced.
Look, and now that's another trick, that's something that is really important and the sign of a great knife. If you're able to balance it this easily, it's perfectly weighted.
Right.
That way it's going to remain comfortable in your hand. Your knife and your hand should move as one unit.
That's right.
So it's a situation where you should never have your hand and your knife move independently of one another. That's when accidents happen.
Right.
So this is why you want to make sure you're holding the knife properly. The knife is ergonomic. The knife is easy for you to use.
Right. And again, it has that nice balance. So when you're using it as a rocking knife, it doesn't feel heavy in the hand. It's not blade heavy. It's not handle heavy. It's just the perfect cutting surface, perfect blade. Now, the next knife, let's do this prep knife, because this is a real popular knife. It's really good for meat, not just for chopping mushrooms like I did earlier. It's got a little bit of a thinner blade. And it's just going to slide right through. I mean, it's very effortless.
Now, this is your cutting, this is your chicken for your Caesar salad.
Right.
This is for that great sandwich. This is for fajitas, all those kinds of things. But look at how evenly and nicely it cuts right through something more dense like a chicken breast. Now, everything you need in this set is all here. This is an entire 8-piece set. Comes along with its block, for 6 payments of $28.33. Let's go through all those knives again. Actually, we have them down here.
Right.
So let's take a quick look at them again, and just we'll leave them on the table and shoot overhead.
Okay, right here you've got your professional 8-inch chef's knife. I think this knife right here, I would spend the price of the entire set for that knife. I love this knife. You're gonna get your 8-inch bread knife, you're gonna get your 5.5-inch prep knife, your 5-inch serrated fruit knife, then your 4-inch paring knife, kitchen shears, a sharpening steel, and the block. And the great thing about this block is that you can see that the grooves go in sideways. So when you pull this in and out, you're not going to cut and dull the blade every time.
Which is so important. And now I'll also remind you, this 5.5-inch a knife here at retail is $89 by itself.
Right.
We're including it with all the other pieces plus the knife block for 6 payments of $28.33. This is an amazing value. We had this on before Christmas. It was wildly popular. Everybody is loving the Henckels name. You're loving the great, great trust that you have. Now, you may be noticing there are a few open spots in that block. Well, guess what? We have a 2-piece knife set we're about to show you in a moment that is designed exactly like these knives. 2 additional knives of different sizes that will fit in your block. So you may want to think about that.
Right. And again, let me come back to this because I think the 2 most important knives in the kitchen are a chef's knife and a good serrated knife. Now, again, I did bread earlier, but this is a wonderful tomato knife. When you're doing a nice ripe red tomato, the test of a good knife is how thin you can slice that tomato. And I literally just pull this through. And you're going to get paper thin slices. See there? I just pull it straight through. And then take a look. Let me fan that right there, and you can see how nice and fine those slices are. I mean, that's almost so thin you could practically read through that tomato, right? Tell you
perfect.
what. Right. And then, now let me get the paring knife. And the great thing about this paring knife is you want a smaller knife if you're doing things like bell peppers and just taking the stem out. You don't want to use a large knife for that.
How sharp this knife is.
Yeah. It's just easy to use. You touch it and it cuts it, and that'll just pull that stem right out like so. Oh, pull that piece out, and there it is. Isn't that great?
That's awesome.
Now, also very handy, kitchen shears, and not just for opening packages, but if you don't want to use maybe a cutting board or whatnot, and you're doing scallions or green onions, use this like so, and just very easy. You have them, pull them out of the block when you're finished, wipe them off, put them back in. Okay. Just very handy.
That's great. This is 6 payments of only $28.33. If you want the other 2 knives to help complete your set, well, we have those for you here. Let me swap with you.
Okay.
Only a couple minutes here, so let's get right into first what the knives are, and then we'll demonstrate them.
Okay, now this is your Santoku knife here, and you can see it has those aerated